right. What a greeting, by the way. That was nice. That was nice of everybody.
I like that everywhere I go.
Oh.
Chael Sonnen was amazing fighter. Top level fighter at UFC. Had some crazy fights. Beat up some of my friends. Beat up a lot of people. And in my opinion, I say this as a highest level compliment, is maybe the best talker that came from over there, and like in the realm of Conor McGregor level talk, but with a much higher IQ and more sophistication. So I think Chael's great that way, and we have we don't talk a lot, but when we do, we have some lengthy conversations occasionally, and really a great mind for communication, for the rhetoric that you have, some of the rhetoric and your ability to irritate people, ability to irritate people is so top notch. How do you think about that in your own mind, or how did that come to be over time?
Well, first off, it's awesome to see everybody. Thank you all for coming. Derek, thank you for having me back. I was inspired. You want to know who doesn't get credit? Like you mentioned Conor McGregor. I don't know if you guys are into interviews or talking the sport, but we went through a competition era and we went into an entertainment era. And I felt like I helped to usher that in. And Conor McGregor came along and was great. And I always hear that comparison, like who would be better on the mic, but between me and Conor. But there was two other guys, and they never got credit. First off, I thought Rampage Jackson was awesome. I remember Rampage was the first guy where I'd ever be in a room like this and we're all watching the fights. And when the end of the fight came, people would shush the room down to hear the interview. Rampage was the first guy. But there was another guy back when the sport was much smaller named Tank Abbott. And Tank was kind of the first that came out and I guess was viewed as disrespectful more than anything. Tank would tell a guy, I'm gonna beat you up, or would knock a guy out, and then one time he like mocked the guy, like the guy was unconscious. And in MMA that was just viewed as this terrible thing. But Tank kind of ushered in this new era. So at any rate, when you talk to me about communication, there was guys that I studied, guys that that I admired and saw, hey, there's another element to the business.
Tito, honorable mention, Tito Ortiz, who I know, I've trained with. He's spoke with me before. He's been very thoughtful. He's gone out of his way to be a nice person to me. He has some moments in the Talk Hall of Fame. He's right up there, a good talker. And then Colby Covington, we could comment about a little bit. That I don't know Colby. I only met him once. We had a conversation once, and but I see him also has some highlight moments and a few misses in my opinion where he could have calibrated to a little bit better. But shout out to him as well.
He would agree. He would agree with you, Colby. Colby, if he was here right now, you guys would love him. Complete character. Somebody that studied the sport, not just tried to get a jiu-jitsu black belt or tried to learn Muay Thai and was a great wrestler. Not just that. I mean, he really studied the sport. Like where I was talking about that there was guys that I admired. Saw Tank Abbott, and then it kind of transitioned to Rampage. But Colby was the same way, where he was just seeing, hey, there's an importance to this. And the UFC had even told him that to a degree. He'd won a fight, and they told him before the fight. They grabbed his manager, and they said, hey, win or lose tonight, we're cutting him. So, call around, Bellator was an option, and there were some other things back then. And the manager said, what are you talking about? You don't cut anybody off a win. And they said, well, we're cutting him. He's just not over, and he's stopping guys from rising to stardom, and he's not getting over. And the manager told him in the back, and I believe it was against Damian Maia, but at any rate, he won the fight, and he grabbed the microphone, and that's like where the character of chaos was created. But really a wonderful guy. Tito, by the way, Tito despises me. He told me that. He said, I hate you. It's a very mean thing to tell somebody. He said, I hate you. I was looking back at him, I thought, Tito, the thing that you don't understand about me is that I don't hate you. In fact, I admire you. I learned from you. I watched you and aspired to be like you. It's one thing that Tito, I think he might change his mind about me if he understood that. He doesn't know that I looked up to him. Yeah, I had to. I was in college and wanted to be an MMA fighter. And Tito's fighting on pay-per-view in the main event. He's the champion of the world. You had to look up to that. But I think he missed. I think he might have missed that. It'd be a compliment if Tito sees this. It's meant as one anyway.
What up, Tito?
What up, Tito?
We know you're watching right now. Shout out Tito Ortiz. The Gravedigger thing he used to do, I thought was insulting but hilarious. That you didn't want to be, unconscious on the mat, and this guy is, pretending to have a shovel digging your grave.
He buried me.
Uh-oh.
Buried me. Yeah, did the Gravedigger, and then he had this routine where he would like pull the body. He'd pull the body in the grave, and then he'd get down and cover it with dirt. It was great. It was great. It was great theater. It was, 30 seconds, but it would make you buy a pay-per-view just to see, is he going to do that?
I didn't know you had that history together. Edit.
I didn't think it was a bad thing. I really didn't. I kind of enjoy the memories with Tito. I just saw him at a wrestling event, though. And he goes, hey, let's do an interview. I have something to tell you. I said, okay. And he comes up with a microphone. And he goes, and he lost his train of thought for a second. And he goes, I hate you. I'm like, Tito, that's literally the meanest thing that you... I remember my mother telling me as a kid, like, don't use the word hate. Don't use the word hate. It's too strong. He goes, I hate you. I've always hated you.
Well, at least he's been thinking about
Yeah,
you.
no, I kind of thought that there was a compliment in there. Somewhere there was a compliment to be...
I think about that. He and I were talking about haters a little bit before we came in here. So a bit ago we were having a little chat about that. And I think when a guy goes out of his way to send me a wall of text, and a variety of insults, is like, he really spent some time thinking about me, And I have a thought like that like a hater tends to be a jealous fan. Mm-hmm. I think a hater is a jealous fan. Mm-hmm. And I used to block some of these people when they send me nasty things on Instagram. I used to block some of them. And I thought, this guy loves me. This guy's the guy that sends me a message every week to tell me I'm a piece of shit and whatever else he might have to say.
There's an effort, right? There's an effort there.
Well, I don't even know who he is, right. And he's thinking about me. And I don't say that to like I'm so important, trying to mean to insult him, but like there's somebody out there that's really spending a lot of time thinking about me. And like, if you hate me so much, you just move on with your life. You'd be like, man, that guy, and you'd move on with your life. Yeah. So somewhere inside, he wants to be a client. He wants to hang out or train, or maybe he wants me to choke him or something. I don't know what he wants, but he's looking for some attention somehow.
This might be gender-based. Maybe it is, but I think the guys in the room would agree. You probably never teased a girl that you didn't like. Probably never teased a girl that you were trying to get conversation with and didn't know how. And I feel like the rules of the playground, carried over to the octagon, to professional MMA. I felt like it was the same type of antagonistic, at times bullying, but there was a piece of the sport. And some guys that came from the purely competitive era were really insulted and bothered by that. But the entertainment era was there, whether they wanted to accept it or not.
You watch this video all the way through, and that tells me you're dedicated to learning more and earning far above average outcomes in your life. Congratulations for that. But now it's time to take action. If you could have earned those results by yourself, you would have done it already. My head coach has opened up a few spots on his high-demand calendar for an in-person, one-on-one strategy session to help you. On this call, we'll give you the pragmatic advice that you can implement tonight to get laser-focused on the right metrics and leave mediocrity far behind in your past. Click that link right now in the description below and apply for your call immediately. Do it now.